Hello, everybody! Welcome, everybody, to Splat Chat, episode 28 here on Broadcast Esports Every Play. I am Kyon, who is somehow awake at this time of the evening. I am joined by three amazing guests here. It is the one and only shinyhunterzach to kick us off. Zach, how are you doing quickly?
Great. It's been an awesome month of Splatoon heading into the holidays, and tons of exciting announcements still to come.
Awesome. And I told Lily before we started the cast I'm drinking a can of cherry limeade soda, so this is the only way I can honor you. Lily, how are you doing?
I'm awake, alive, enthusiastic.
Awesome, and we have the person who was apparently shopping at Costco while we are doing the Splat Chat. Falco, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Still here at Costco. Decided to post up on one of the pallets of protein bars. So hopefully there's no screaming kids who come behind me or the closers. I think they close right now at 8:30 anyways Eastern time, so they might kick me out pretty soon. But we'll be here as long as we can.
They'll make sure to not kick you out as soon as they can here. So we got a quick and easy show here. So we're gonna go right into this one. By the way, brief shout outs before we kick everything off. Raises for Rices, Raise for Rices, exactly the exact tournament did take place with this past week. An amazing event that raised so much money for charity, and I know Zach just literally related to us $4,545.92. And Zach, I know you participated in that tournament. I'll just ask one quick question: how was the experience?
Very important that 92 cents, by the way, but it was good. It was actually my first actual competitive experience. I was paired with a great team. We did SOS on Wednesday, I believe, and then we came into R4R this past weekend and had a ton of fun. It was great. It was broken down basically into 5 brackets and all went to a great cause. The charity itself, Rices Texas, it's a service that basically helps to give legal and social services to people who are trying to immigrate or put roots down in the USA. So to see that many people come back and donate, and we were talking about Pika Dave as well, who was previously on the podcast here. I played against his team and got destroyed. Pika Dave is very good at the game, but it was a great event and an even better cause.
Yeah, and there you go. They got the results for them as well. See you tomorrow into the soup, and the 13 that just completely blinked past me had shown on screen. No good ideas. There you go. Once again, huge support to R4R. All, by the way, all the players, primarily staff, TOs, and commentators alike, being the main participants. Excellent cause for that one. So we wanted to give a brief shout out to that. But more importantly, we got 2 important things we also have to talk about here. I'm gonna start by noting that there was a trailer that was dropped. What felt like last weekend. Yes, actually, in fact, the 19th this month. And I know Falco, you have pretty much ran, and I guess I was also part of it too. This past year, the LAN Championship Showdown has been announced, courtesy of the crew in Splatoon 20, which is 2 of us, and of course Sap and Toma. Falco, how do you feel that LAN Championship Showdown is a reality once again, especially with the 2nd edition coming up?
Yeah, we hope to have it bigger and better than before. It was kind of around this time last year where we announced the first one. It was actually New Year's Eve when we announced it. So we had 8 teams for the year of 2025. All 8 of those lanes had qualifiers from January through April, with the final event taking place on April 27th. And this time is really going to be no different, except we are adding 4 new lands. But again, kind of the same procedure. There's going to be qualifiers that happen January through April, and again, with more lands, there's going to be more excitement too. You see on the trailer here, these were the 8 that came back. Of course, I wanted all 8 to come back because they were all so lovely, and there was always more and more locals popping up, so there were definitely ones that I was on the lookout for. In particular, SoCali, they were kind of on a hiatus for a little bit, but as soon as I saw that they started to revamp their lands, I knew we wanted to get them involved. And then a few other lands that have been kind of taken off too. There goes my webcam. Goodbye, webcam. We'll get that fixed later. um, but yeah, we have Anarchy Nova from Virginia, and then Don't Flounder at the Junction from North Carolina. So those were the 2 other editions in the United States. And then we have another LAN in Toronto, and they've typically hosted more friendlies. This will be their first time really hosting a competitive LAN if you're not counting Gommel. Which, by the way, go to Gommel. That has been announced as well. So this is going to be their regional that they have called Toronto Roca, which I've had to practice saying about 5 times before got it pretty fluid. So with 12 lands this time around, it's going to be really fun. And this was the most viewed at the time, most viewed Splatoon stream of 2025. Of course, this is all prior to the Splat World Series that happened in August, and then the inaugural Nintendo Week 1 preseason that kicked off. I know those had higher viewerships as well. So we're hoping to kind of bump up those numbers for this event, and all the traction that we've gotten online so far on Blue Sky, the excitement from the trailers really showing that. So very excited. It's a lot of fun.
I don't know if you covered the 8 lands that are returning, but I figure we may as well say it for brevity's sake. It is Big Dapple out of the New York region or New York State in that regard. Tri-Shoals, Chicago, specifically Sea Battle, which one I went back in October, November around that time frame. Got to see them, got to be there in person. H-Town Splashdown may have some importance for those who are local to Texas. Sunset Surge, Arizona, Pepe I know runs that one. New England out of Boston, Booyah Bay out of San Jose, and of course Gatorland from Florida as well. And I know Falco, you mentioned the high viewership earlier. It was almost an event. I remember this one vividly from the first edition, where almost everybody was pretty much rooting for either their favorite land or their favorite region, so to speak. Especially with what I saw in chat throughout. So I hope. Are you kind of hoping that the same energy kind of carries through for this edition?
I think so, and it seems pretty likely that that's the case because this is an event where even if you're not competing and you don't really have traditional teams playing, like all 8 of the teams who qualified, none of them are really a team. The closest I would say was the team that actually won My Little Henlo. At the time, that was basically Hypernova because it had Henlo, it had Lexi, who now goes by Katie, it had Splat, and it had Dat Kid, Dat Menace that we saw from Fofofo compete. So that was just a powerhouse team that they had some really close matches against the team that won from Sunset Surge, Prickly Pear, which includes Shiny, Pepe, I think Evie was on the team, and there was one other member. Lily, who was the other one? You probably remember who it was.
I don't.
You don't? Okay. I know you. I just figure you know everything associated with Shiny.
I mean,
Like,
maybe
I tossed it, that's why I tossed it to you.
Kronos.
I
But
forget. I'll have to look it up
Yeah.
later. But yeah, a lot of stacked competition, and like you said, Keon, I think too, with this being an event that you really root for your kind of home land. So even if you don't have, let's say, like a team that you're rooting for, you're pretty much going to be rooting for whichever region is closest to you or the land that you went to. And that excitement really transpired through the entirety of the broadcast because you can watch, we streamed every single match across 5 streams. So you could always find where your team was playing and how you wanted to keep up with them. Some players streamed their POVs and all that. So yeah, we're really hoping the excitement happens again.
You know, one of the underrated aspects I remember from the first edition, it was the New York team too that had why am I suddenly blanking on Nolan from Moonlight that was also on that team. So yeah, a lot of players pretty much across the U.S. that pretty much went to some of these locals for the qualifiers was they went ahead and just participate with whatever pickup or their respective team in that situation. Zach and Lily, I'm not sure if you guys tuned into the previous edition of the LCS this past year.
I mean, absolutely. I had to go cheer on my boys, the fellas out of Arizona. If I'm not in chat calling Shiny smelly, then like why am I even a friend? Truthfully. So I followed along just for that aspect. I had to make sure Shiny at least had a chance of winning, and if they won, that I was there to call them bad. So
Zach, you got to watch any of them? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a bit of a juxtaposition for me. I'm from Dallas, and so Houston is like the only Texas land that's there, but Dallas and Houston have like this kind of beef. So you kind of want to root for them, and you kind of don't. So I'm excited for the new suite of lands that are going to be joining. It's nice to see Toronto coming in as well, having that sort of representation from across the border. So I'm really interested to see who comes out of it. And 5 streams is starting to become more and more so the norm. I recently did CCA finals with Yukion, and I believe that one
Yes.
Yep.
also had 5 streams going at once. So it's amazing how much, in terms of resources and TOs of production, shout out CKK who's in for this particular stream, are coming to bat for these larger events.
Yep, and I definitely remember our CCA venture together as well. It was definitely 5 streams. LCS was definitely 5, and I remember the main channel Falco was a little whip around coverage, if you will, or red zone coverage. If those who follow American
we
football
tried to do a red zone coverage, so I made sure to get some sports folks. So I had Keon and Nito. I knew 2 people who I could count on to kind of bring that red zone hype. And we did some live look-ins, and I think this time around we'll structure it a little bit differently. Of course, we want to have every match streamed, but as far as like that main broadcast, it will probably be something a little more casual, just because you can get all the hype and excitement from the native stream if you want to tune in. So we'll probably have something be a little bit more casual, like a couch cast for the main broadcast this time around. So we're still brainstorming it. But yeah, Zach, to your point with like a lot of tournaments doing 5 concurrent streams, that is a lot of effort for production folks like streamers and commentators and kind of building that system to make it work. One of the hardest things for a lot of people to do if you run a tournament is to find streamers. So finding 5 who are available at one specific time, that's definitely been a hard part too. But
so Falco,
yeah.
as the modern initiator of the 5 stream format, do you regret your choices?
Do I regret doing 5 streams?
Yes.
Oh no,
and popularizing
no
it.
Oh heck no.
Okay.
Heck no. I know.
Falco, you're like, I love suffering.
I know. The thing is, the tournament kind of runs itself because
Fair.
you had like at that time we had 8 teams. They all are like Splatoon players. They knew the bracket ahead of time too, so there like wasn't any mystery. And then we already had a logic system of like, okay, this match, and I think it was on Sendo at the time, but it was like this match is on Splatoon Tourney 3.
Right.
Oh, then match G7 is going to be on Splatoon Tourney 2. So like everyone knew where to go or which lobby to join and who was the streamer. So I have no regrets with that whatsoever. And
no regrets.
No regrets. Yeah.
Regrets.
Regrets right across the chest here. But I know like this is probably the talks of a long time ago. I actually heard it on the Popcast where people were like, "Oh, could Low Ink have 2 streams and stream beta bracket as well as alpha?" And I think they like thought about it, but realized like at that point first of all, Low Ink is a gauntlet of its own to TO because there was like 180 teams that sign up every time.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's just kind of a lot. But I think when you have something like this event where, and it's going to be true for smaller events of a higher caliber, it's easier to multi-stream and to have all that prepared ahead of time. I'm thinking, I know the Splat World Series, I don't think did they do 2 streams? I think they did some on Dapples. I don't know. I don't even know if that was on Splatoon Tourney. I don't think it was. But I think they were kind of messing around with that too. So it's easier when you have a smaller number of teams playing, especially in like a double elimination format, opposed to like a ladder or something. So the exact opposite of what you said, Lily. I want more tournaments to have.
I have the opposite of regrets. I have ambitions.
Yeah.
I think the clarification for SWS was I think they only had the mainstream and then the other games would be broadcasted in post. It was basically recorded for the YouTube channels. That's and I remember doing one with Spicy for the SWS Rewind on that. So
right.
So there a little bit of brevity there. So but yeah, we got the 12 lands. Now I will also say, Falco, you also only had 8 teams versus probably a huge number of teams to actually have to manage for 5 streams, though. So I think it might have been a lot easier, I'd imagine, with that.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it's much better for a structured like double elimination tournament rather than an open invite or like just an open tournament where anybody could sign up, like Low Ink or from the Ink Up or like a CCA circuit or a ladder. So the structure is definitely there, but of course, yeah, you need the resources and At the end of the day, I just wanted every single match documented, and of course we have replay codes. Like in theory, we could have gone back and like respect the replays, kind of like Splat World Series. But having it live, and especially with the system that JPEG built, because JPEG was the brains behind all the overlays and how this is all going to work. And he's going to be helping me again. If you saw yesterday, he posted on Blue Sky where he said, "Don't tell Falco, but I'm going to revamp these overlays without you know." And I was like, "Okay, you can do that. That's fine." So yeah, the tricky part though, of course, will be moving from 8 to 12 teams regarding the format. Because right now we're thinking that the top 4 seeds will have a bye, and it will still be a double elimination tournament, and the seeding will be done by a third party seeding committee. It won't be me like rolling a dice or anything like that. It'll be people who are trusted in the community who do seeding anyways. So
Fair.
yeah, so there's still a lot that's in the works though. And we'll get to those things when we need to.
Have you considered adding 4 more teams?
So yes, but it's hard because you really want to make sure you're adding lands and locals that have kind of, I don't want to say proven that they can gain
Right.
traction or gain viewers, or not viewers, but more gain
Like attendees.
Attendees, yeah, and
Yeah.
participants.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we're actually taking a gamble on a few of these because Don't Founder,
Fair.
they haven't even run yet.
And Toronto Roca.
Toronto Roca has not either, but
Yeah.
it's more of the hype and excitement from those
Mhm.
communities that I'm kind of using to, build the hype for this particular event. And the TOs,
Right.
when I first asked them like a few months ago, they were so quick to be on board with this
Oh
event.
yeah.
And I would have loved to have there be 16. I just don't think we as a community are there yet where there are
Okay.
16 locals who can really create that environment.
So maybe next year.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that'd be awesome to see if we can if there are 4 locals that would be invited, but I think it would take some time, I'd imagine there too. Curious question. So we pretty much have the regions that pretty much are defined. You have all the 11 locals in the U.S., one Canadian local, that's Toronto Roca. I think the new region additions we had basically it covered parts of the East Coast, basically a little bit south of the New York area, and then you have another addition to California. But were there any regions that we wish could have had some representation, just didn't have a local ready to go for that particular region?
Yeah, I would say more in the Midwest. We have Chai Shoals, which is in Chicago. But if you were to go like further down south, maybe I'm biased. I live in the Midwest. I live in Ohio, and there is actually a Columbus local that. Thank you, Lily. There's actually a Columbus local that's happened a few times, but they just unfortunately haven't really gotten the numbers to have like a 4v4 competitive format.
Fair.
And in the works right now is Diamond Duel in Arkansas. They've ran 1, maybe 2 events already. So they're another one that we're kind of keeping an eye on. It would be really cool if we got somewhere in St. Louis, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, 9-hole grains. If we could get that working. I'll also ping Hypercube for that as well. So, and even further west, there is Colorado. They do have a LAN right now in Denver, like Rocky Mountain, forget the name of it. So that is represented too. But really, it's just the coastal regions and Chicago right now who are represented. So not much in the Midwest, not much in the Great Plains. Zach, unfortunately, there's none in Dallas yet.
No,
yeah.
I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, I'd love to have like a Texas rivalry there. And I was also thinking about St. Louis, something to do with 9-hole grains. You could even have Kansas City in there and have like a battle of Missouri. But yeah, I still love that there are even more locals that couldn't be fit into this round. So you could potentially have almost expansion draft worth of lands that get brought on, maybe 4 every time you expand the LCS.
Yeah, if we wanted to put it into fully sports terms, we could have conferences, and you have to win your division or your conference. You have the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Great Plains, whatever, South. That's for LCS like 2029 or something like that when
Get the bowl
Ooh,
game.
you're thinking way in the
Just
future.
Pop
Yeah.
Tarts have like the Pop Tarts bowl of Splatoon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Only a few college football fans will actually understand the Pop-Tart Bowl.
My
Thank you for that one,
Miami
Jack.
Redhawks are playing in the Arizona Snoop Dogg Bowl. Okay,
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop
No
Dogg
way.
Bowl. Yeah,
There's no way.
yeah, they're playing in that the 27th. I forget who they face.
He's not a business. He's a guy.
Yeah, I think he was there last year at the game, and he just did meet and greets the whole time. It was a whole
That's
publicity.
pretty
thing
cool
for him.
though.
Yeah.
I'm just reeling that Notre Dame, like, not to get too far off Splatoon, but that they rejected the whole Pop Tarts Bowl, and now BYU and Georgia Tech have these like sweet helmets and all the gifts coming out of like the Pop Tarts like shedding their foil. Like, I don't know how you could ever turn that down.
Right. I want the free swag. We all love free swag.
So secretly, if there was ever a sponsor in Falco Land, it would be the Costco Bowl at this rate.
True.
If only.
Oh no.
The Kirkland
Really?
Bowl.
If only. By the way, for those watching and trying to figure out what we're talking about, please go actually look up the Pop Tart Bowl on YouTube. You'll pick up the details.
On it right now. I'm looking it up.
Will
But
not be disappointed.
we do have an interesting show here. So I guess one of the things that we've got, I know people are. I think there's always a question about what regions might get a breakup from qualifying. I mean, it's just the 8 plus the 4 teams. So I kind of want to see how what Canadian representation I think gets out of it. But I'm curious out of you three, especially with all the lands and the new ones, what any lands or regions in particular that kind of sticks out to you rather. Curious about which team qualifies out of it once they get to the qualifiers. And I'm gonna ask lands and regions because we don't know what teams obviously are gonna qualify at that point.
I feel like I'm obligated to vote for the Canadian team, but I'm actually not
Yeah.
going to because as a Maritimer, we all hate Toronto. So just not gonna happen. I can't root for Toronto. So I'm mostly just watching Arizona again this year. I follow that land pretty religiously. So I feel like it's gonna be Shiny and Pepe again, just because it is. It just is. But I still want to see it happen, you know.
Hey, my Dallas Stars in hockey just beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-1 last night. So there's
Oh, nice.
a little knock on Toronto there.
Okay, so I
Bringing it back
do
to sports, you know.
for sports, real sports. I do have to cheer for the Canadians.
There you go. Okay, there's
For
a
fake
rivalry
sports,
there.
that's fine. Yeah.
The Maple Leafs and them. For lands, Sea Battle is the name that's always kind of come up a lot in my mind, just seeing them around and having been to Seattle several times. You know, it seems like a great place to host a LAN. I would love if we got more Canadian representation for there to be a Vancouver LAN, so you could have that kind
I mean,
of
there is.
closeness, like closeness and proximity there, like Vancouver versus Seattle. I think would be great to sort of have, and you've got some closeness with California as well. They're not too far off and have like a battle of the coast as well. But that sort of western side of the US and I suppose also Canada is always sort of piqued my interest.
I know you're the host, Falco, but I gotta ask you the same question.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the attendees for Toronto Roca. And I mean it's like the attendee list, it's not like private knowledge, but Shaq is confirmed to compete.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I
Maybe
don't
I
know
have
who
to
Shaq
cheer.
will be with, but I just know that if Shaq is playing, I know that and again, he could just sign up for Splatoon, and he's kind of mentioned that he's done competing, but I don't count as lanes as like competing. Like
No.
these are fun events, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're competitive events, but they're on a different degree
Soft
of
retirement.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, even things like Riptide, like people who come to the big lands to compete, I still don't count that as coming out of retirement. You have to
Yeah.
play an online tournament that is like proper online tournament to come out of
Right.
retirement.
Right. Yeah. And so this is kind of a one-off. And again, I don't know. I can see if he's on a team right now. I can check. No, he's on Shake Shack, which is by himself right now, actually. So if you're going to Toronto,
Great
DM
name.
Shaq if you can play with him. But I would say if the My Little Henlo crew pulls up as those 4, they're going to be very, very strong. Again, this is kind of the very early formation of Hypernova. I don't think any of those members are still in Hypernova. Maybe Katie, but I think Katie might be the only person. This is where we need K-Bot. K-Bot would know this as their coach.
Someone
But
ping K-Bot.
yeah, I know. I think the Big Dapple crew could be very strong, and because I feel like Big Dapple, there will be a lot of people who go to that specific event who don't really live in New York, but they go because they're visiting friends and happen to go to that one of those lands. And there's a lot of strong people who live in the greater New York City region too. So again, I don't know who would be pulling up there, but that team in particular, Glub Glub, that had Nolan, it had Balloon,
Nope.
they came in third place. So depending on which crew is for them, I think they could do very well. And those are the two. Really, Florida and New York are on my horizon. I would imagine that Pepe and Shiny are really going to be grinding to try and play again in Arizona. And I think Shiny even posted that on Blue Sky, said like, I'm here to take the #1 spot this time.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always a chance too that if they don't qualify in Arizona, they just go to H-Town again. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, if you don't win a local, just go to the next one. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and like these are things that we'll release later as far as like the qualifications, because again, if you win your local, you're automatically invited to participate.
Yeah.
But you can only qualify through
Yeah.
one LAN. So you pretty much have to vouch right then and there. As soon as you win, saying like, yes, I want to play in the LCS and I will be representing this team. Or
Right.
you could say like, nope, I either like, I don't want to play because 1, like I'm busy, or 2, I don't want to, or 3, I'm going to go to this other LAN and I would rather try and qualify at that event. But if you do that, you can't go back and revert your option.
Right.
It's kind of a, you have to commit right then and there. So there's
Didn't that happen last time
It
too?
did.
Like, yeah, because Shiny and
Yes.
Pepe qualified at Houston and Arizona.
Seattle.
Was it
But
Seattle? Yes,
yeah.
yes. It
Yeah,
was
so
Seattle.
so they won this, they won Sea Battle,
Yeah.
but the team they beat, Sea Bubbles, the Sea Bubble team was the one that represented
Yeah.
Sea Battle. So
Yeah.
because Pepe and Shiny, they already vouched that they were going to play for
Yeah.
Arizona.
Of
But then
course.
there's I'm thinking of Storm T-Tech in particular, who did play
Mm.
at Big Dapple and New Inkland, and vouched to play with the New Inkland team.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, the Big Dapple folks, they had to get a sub, and you can get your sub can be any participant at that LAN. So you
Okay.
can't just grab like any person you want. It has
I
to be
can't just
somebody
pick Kyo.
no, you can't
Yeah.
just unless Kyo's participating.
Dang it.
Yeah. So the rules, they're pretty structured. Thankfully, we like me and the other TOs, we've kind of like ran through every single logistic outcome and like, okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? What should the outcome be? And we've tried to stress test that. And thankfully, the first time around, there were no issues, and we're just hoping that continues to be the case. But you never know. I think too, with having this event so far in advance for a lot of folks, it can be a little trickier, but we specifically are running the event on a Sunday evening, which
Okay.
tends to be the most free time that people have. There wasn't really any reason for us to run it in the afternoon because we don't have any European representation. There could be a player like Dude who goes to Big Dapple and wins, and then, hey Dude, do you want to play? If you want to play in the LCS? By the way, it starts at 1 a.m. your time. But
He would
that's
do
up
it.
I know Dude would definitely do it. But that's up to the European people if they want to make that happen. But that's why we run the actual event on a Sunday night, because there tends to be a much more free time, and that way somebody doesn't have to devote their entire Saturday or Sunday afternoon to play. We got very distracted to the topic of discussion with which region.
No, that's no. You actually already got my answer. It was Florida and New York being your
Yeah.
big interest. Mine's for the record was Canada. I was gonna add Eric and Nova to that mix too, just out of curiosity with that. So I think this is a good introduction to the LCS. Hopefully for everybody tuning in, be on the lookout for the dates that are announced for those locals, because you'll get to know which lands in particular will be which dates rather will be the ones you have the chance to qualify for. Also, quick clarification here: there was a Vancouver LAN. I think that was ran once. I remember the Sea Battle crew went to it. That was Van Coral.
Yeah.
for
They got
context.
second. Yeah, it was
Wow.
Seattle TOs plus Ike.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got second place.
And I could cheer for Vancouver. I mean, they're still the wrong coast, but I could cheer for Vancouver. I just can't really. I can cheer for Shaq. I just can't cheer for Toronto. So
Probably just at the very bottom of your list, huh?
listen, it's it's Toronto. I can't cheer for the Upper Canadians. It just
No
can't.
self-respecting
This-
Canadians
that-
That was
cheer
Battle
for them.
BC. My bad.
Oh, yeah.
Battle BC. That's what I was wondering about. That's what I was wondering about because I definitely remember that at all. I definitely remember that rather in this case. I think we talked a lot about the LCS. I think y'all are ready for the big topic that happened recently, and I'm sure you
Something
three.
big happened?
Yeah, I know, right? What a big surprise! I know you three were present. I believe in a studio somewhere for this event.
Something big that happened that we three have in common.
Yeah,
That's rough.
I'll put your thinking caps on maybe for 2 seconds.
We all went to the Nintendo store.
Oh,
True.
That's true.
Yeah, we all spent too much money at the Nintendo
Got the
store.
sweet swag, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Nintendo store. It was the big event
Yeah.
all along.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yep, that was it. They all just flew home. Nope,
Yeah.
nope. Whatever happened that weekend.
Yeah, nothing else. Nothing else in California. Just that.
I didn't get my free wrapping paper. They said if
Aw.
you spend $50 at the store, you get free wrapping paper. I
You
never
should have
got
told
it.
me.
My
I gave
clerk- my clerk
my
never gave it
extra
to
to
me.
wrap because
Well,
I
and
couldn't
another
bring it
day,
home.
If you spent like $90 or $100, you got an ornament. It was supposed to be
Yeah.
a blind box, and my girlfriend got one, and it was Mario, and she was like, "I don't want this one. Can I have a different one?" And they were like, "No, it's supposed to be a blind box." You can literally see without opening.
Oh,
the
it's
box who
blind
you
box
get.
in that they pass it to
Blind
you.
in that they're
Blind.
robbing you blind by giving you a thing. But
Yeah.
yes, there were several events and promotions going on in addition to the Splatoon.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But I think with that was the obvious elephant in the room. You take that as well. The NA League, specifically the playoffs, we got to crown a champion for that one. Before we even talk about that, I gotta ask you three: how was the experience, by the way?
Insane.
Really
Insane.
fun. Really cool.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah, Falco found us a really cool hotel, like right by Union Square and by the Nintendo store. So we ended up just like spending quite a lot of time just wandering around Union Square and all of the shopping and stuff there. So beyond just the actual league stuff, doing that was really cool because I've never actually spent time in San Fran. I've only ever just like flown in and then left immediately. So kudos to Falco for finding a cool place.
Yeah.
Thank you, Falco.
Oh, you're welcome, Keon. No, it was really fun. It was my first time visiting that city as well. It was only the third time I've ever been on the West Coast too, so I was
Yeah.
happy to be over there. But no, overall, it was a really fun weekend. I mean, there were tons of great folks there, obviously, and a lot of good Splatoon. And I mean, really, it wasn't anything different from what you guys saw because we watched the game just how you guys would watch the game too on a monitor. So, the players were obviously playing online, they weren't in person. So it was a little different that way, but still a lot of hype and excitement. And overall, like, again, it felt like a LAN, but we weren't playing Splatoon. It was just like by the number of like Splatoon people who were there, it felt like we were there for a LAN, but yeah, we just weren't.
Like major LAN vibes, but I kept looking around like, where is everybody else?
Yeah.
Why isn't everybody else here? Especially leaving the airport on Monday, I was like expecting other Splatoon people to be walking by in the airport, and there's just nobody. I'm just there by myself drinking a hot chocolate. I'm like, okay, it's not Riptide.
Well, even the first when I went to the Nintendo store, the guy who was the employee who was stationed by the Splatoon apparel and merch, we were talking about Splatoon. He was like, "Yeah, it's really cool that y'all are buying Splatoon stuff. Splatoon's not as big here as it is in Japan, but they've got this big event going on this week. And I don't know if you're gonna be watching it." And I kept my mouth shut, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that, man." I was like, "I'll check it out, dude." I left. That's my like little secret. I took away from there. I was like, I didn't tell him that I was part of the broadcast, but
that guy cursed you, guaranteed.
Yeah,
like he watched the stream later that weekend. He was like, Zach,
I hope he
who's
had,
that
like,
Zach?
That guy, it's him.
Where he's like snapping and pointing at the camera. He's like, "Oh, hey." And he's like, "Yeah,
I'm gonna
pretty
give
good
his
guy."
girlfriend a bad ornament.
Yeah.
That's how he said it.
Oh, my God, I
The
wanna
revenge.
New guy, but no, the production staff that we got to work with is so great. And part of to Lily's comment, like the LAN environment, was because in the production area, they were like providing some of the oohs and ahs, and they were reacting to the clips in real time and enjoying the gameplay just as we were. So to hear that going on while there was like people in the green room watching, and of course the people that were on the desk watching, it was such a cool environment to just come together for this high level.
I feel like I shouldn't have to ask this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is it very different to actually cast in person with two of the other fellow co-commentators
Easier.
with you in person? Yeah, it's
So
infinitely
much
easier,
easier.
isn't it?
Well, especially when you're doing a TriCast, like it's
Oh my
so much
gosh.
easier. Anyone who's ever done
Yeah.
it on a LAN versus online knows how much easier it is. But
Mhm.
the vibes are impeccable. And then just to be there and like I have something I want to say, you can just reach out a hand and wave to somebody. Like my God, I hate doing TriCasts online and I love doing them in person.
Because you can feed off people's reactions. I
That's
can look
it.
at either of my
Yep.
casters and I can see that they have like hand over head or they're
Yeah.
like this, they're reacting. I can be like, oh, okay. Like Falco, for example, you look like you have something you want to say and just toss it
Yeah.
right back over. It's so easy.
It was much easier that way because and then even in the back, like where we could watch the broadcast too, there would be so many moments where even if Nine wasn't talking, we could see him doing this with
Oh, yeah.
his like 5 feet biceps, like reacting to what was
The
going on.
wingspan.
The wingspan, yeah. So no, and I know Keon, you've done TriCasts in person at
Twice.
Riptide. You've
Yes,
been
Twice.
yeah, you've done that twice.
With me.
Yeah,
Once.
Yep.
yeah, and, hey, you did it with me too.
No, I did I did it with Lily Pop Gun for grand finals in 2024, and then Falco and Saf in 2025. So at this point, I have two
Whoa.
TriCasts to my
Nah.
name now in person.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely attest. It is a lot easier, infinitely
Oh
easier
my
to do it in
God.
person.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you have fantastic hosts like Jordan and Zach who did
Yeah.
a
Oh.
great job. I don't know how you guys didn't just run out of breath or
I mean,
Truly.
Jordan is
could
big
always
shoes
just keep
to
the
fill, and I wear a size 13, so like you must be like Jack size shoes, man. Like that size 18 custom ordered. That man has just impeccable presence on the desk. Like he is such an inspiration to come in, and he is, he's cast so many different sports, and most of them,
Mhm.
mainline sports, not esports. He comes prepared, and he asks for notes and asks for material and studies by himself.
Yeah.
Like he is a true consummate professional.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were getting ready and doing our tech check, he was going through and reading the team names out to make sure that he was pronouncing them all correctly, and even the player names. He did that before we started for every team and every player, and was asking Nine and I if he was right, which is how I found out I was pronouncing Kara's name wrong. So we are not immune to mistakes.
I pronounced EV once as Ev, I think. and
Oh, yeah.
I got the correction of like, oh, it's
That's
EV.
okay. I still get mad every time someone says Museum Delfonsino incorrectly. So
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
we had clarifications like, okay, you
Yeah.
say Mako Mart, not Mako.
Oh my God, that was hard for
Mako.
me.
I'm the
too
worst at
Canadian.
saying map instead of stage. I feel like they were gonna
Yeah.
take a hot iron or a poker to me or like one of those shot.
Just
callers.
shot caller, yeah.
Yeah. Every time I say it.
Pop Gun commented on the podcast once. He had to remember that it's called stage, not map. And I'm sure
Yeah.
every time I was trying to hear that, I'm like, okay, I can understand what we're so used to doing online as
Oh no!
commentators. Like,
Beyond that, like they had on in between. They had up on our analyst camera or a screen. They had a screen frozen up there, and it said maps and modes have changed.
Yeah,
And so we all turned and we're
Yeah,
like, Nintendo
hold up.
people.
Hold up.
And then the Nintendo folks were like, listen, we have to say stage. We know it says map in the game at this one moment, but we have to say stage. And we were like, come on.
It's in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what? I definitely get it, and I'm sure terminology is gonna mess with all of us once in a while, and I'm sure it's gonna come back to bite y'all when the Nintendo event, whenever
always.
that get teased, sometime down the road. I'm glad to hear that your experiences were awesome. I'm glad to see you three in person, three amazing people on the mic. Also, seeing Jordan Kent as well.
Yes.
Pretty much doing the show. I should ask you, Lily, because I think you were on the cast with Jordan Kent. I was working with him.
Yeah.
especially.
I mean, incredible. He, man, I don't know how to describe it because he isn't like a comp Splatooner, right? Like, he
That's right.
hasn't played at high level. He doesn't commentate Splatoon tournaments all the time. He really just does it for Nintendo. Despite that, the ease with which he travels in and out of game speak and the questions he knows to ask, like, consummate professional. And I was crazy nervous going into it just because I've never done a live Nintendo event before aside from the online ones. So I was massively nervous. And then I was like, man, if there's anyone to be nervous with, it's going to be Jordan and Nine because they can carry me until I settle down. And working with Jordan was actually just an absolute breeze. He like prepared everything beforehand. He asked questions. He just always seemed like at any time that I petered out or wasn't quite sure what to say, he took over and just seamlessly carried it through. It was beautiful.
Consummate professional. I only remember him because he used to commentate NBA games, and I think he does
Right.
college football now.
Yep.
College football now, so
Yeah.
it's like, yep, hearing him was like, okay, I gotta remember he's doing Splatoon, not football or basketball that I'm
Yeah.
used to
Mm.
hearing him as well. So I'm glad you two and Nine, of course, got to work together with that. And Zach and Falco, it was Milana was the other
Yeah.
person part of that trio that took care of that. But I'm glad to see you three in pretty much there in person, being able to do that tournament. But I know there's an actual tournament we have to talk about. Before I talk about the actual tournament, last week, I believe it was last week, Nine, Oma, myself, and Pika Dave ran through a bracket prediction in Broadcast Beep. I'm gonna have to see if CKK has that tweet readily available, but we did a prediction to see who would be how the pathing to the tournament went. And I know 3 people in the panel that did not include myself. I'll spoil it that much. Thank you, CK, for that. Everybody predicted Milky Way in a bracket reset, except me. I believed in FT win on the bracket reset. Unfortunately, my heart's been broken on that regard. So now that you 3 saw these prediction brackets, it's actually really not that far off. But I think what it illustrates is just the results were what the results were, especially Moonlight finishing second, by the way.
Yeah, I think the biggest shift really was Shaq sitting in for Kyo while he graduated. I think that is what changed the bracket the most, and caused the most disruptions. But I feel like, I mean, FT1 still had a pretty good chance of doing a losers bracket run, and like many people have mentioned, anytime we saw FT win not get first, it was when they were on winner's side. So I thought they still had a pretty good chance until they, went down.
Yeah, I did
Only
not
my
have,
heart was broken. Yeah.
Healthy Diet moving on. I kind
Yeah.
of classified the teams in my head in like 4 tiers. So you had like Milky Way and FT Win in top tier, and then Moonlight and Fofofo in your second tier, and then every team besides, I think, Healthy Diet Food Group probably in tier 3, and then Healthy Diet 4. We were talking even at the very start of the broadcast about some of the teams that were, and in the prep for the playoffs too, about some of the teams that kind of bubbled out.
Yeah.
Your Halcyons and your Sunsets and the teams that would have been your Fives and your Hypernovas. And I think many, if not all those teams, probably had a good chance against a team like Healthy Diet. But I don't think we could have expected that even getting Kyo back for day 2, that we would have seen Moonlight, do so well against them and move on. And that was such a spectacular set to watch.
Oh my god. And watching it live was just wild. Like, everyone was freaking out. Like, Nine at one point almost threw his headset. Like, everyone was, Falco was doing a butt dance in the back room, and it was pretty wild.
You weren't supposed to say that, Lily. but-
Listen,
Yeah.
spilling secrets. It's fine.
With the teams that played though, I mean, obviously Moonlight doing better than I think a lot of us predicted, but for teams like Healthy Diet Food Groups and Gourmet Race, like I was kind of similar to Zach, where I kind of had those teams in a tier, and Healthy Diet and Gourmet Race were kind of at the bottom. I figured they would kind of get O2'd and get eliminated pretty quickly, but seeing the Fofofo take out FT Win and seeing what they would have to do in the losers bracket was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then knowing that they were going to face Moonlight, where FT Win was heavily favored in that set.
Oh, yes.
But then seeing the set, did Moonlight go up 2-0 first, or did they? I forget the order of the game wins
I don't
at that
remember
point.
either.
I want to say it was 1-1.
It was 1-1. Okay. They won in Turf War. Did they lose their first game, Moonlight, and then come back? I forget.
Man, that was like a week and a half ago. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's been so
this
long
time-
ago.
This time last week, I was on a plane with a sinus infection, so
Oh my
I
gosh.
blocked everything out of my mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
CKK, if you could go ahead and click on that match, it should show the order of the games.
Yeah, there you go, round 3,
losers,
losers.
loser stage, FT Win
Round 3.
versus
L5, yeah.
L5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
Okay, so yeah, FT Win won the
did
Oh, it
first
does.
game.
Yeah.
First one.
Yeah.
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 So that was, I forget which game that was, because game 2 was Turf War.
Mm.
Game 3 was something, but game 4 was Clams.
Yep.
And that Clams game, that Clams Humpback game, I think that was the moment we were all like, this is going to be really interesting, because Zach pointed out that Clam Blitz Humpback Pump Track had never been played at all in a top 8 bracket. And this was a counter pick that um, that Moonlight chose the mode, but FT Win chose the stage. So these are moments from that particular match, because FT Win got an early lead. But this whole match really kept us on our toes. This was the first time I ever heard Zach lose his voice while commentating as well. Because he has such a crisp and clear voice. I was very surprised that would come out. But this one, we were just flabbergasted at what was going to happen. And we knew that there were going to be jumps behind the basket, because that's just the nature of this course.
Yeah.
With how it works out. But it's like the two plays in particular, one for each team. It was FT Win, it was Hexen on the dualies, who was just rolling back and forth right in front of that ledge, because there was nowhere that any Moonlight player could get him. And then of course that final jump at the end with I think it was Nolan going up for a Booyah, with Basil jumping in with the power clam. Like, going up for the Booyah was perfect, just to give Basil enough time and space. So this was probably the most exciting match of the set. Other than, of course, the 8 minutes Urchin Underpass Clam Blitz game that we had no idea what was going to happen, and thankfully Lily explained the rules, because we weren't sure what was going to
I was so excited.
Lily, Clam Blitz expert, I
Right?
believe, is what I saw. So I'm gonna have to go full disclosure. I think I was completely busy all weekend, so I would have had to catch a lot of these in post. But when I jumped into the blue sky, I think one time just to see what was going on, I saw Lily Clam Blitz rule nowhere. I'm like, there is something funny that happened in the Clam Blitz map that happened. I'm gonna guess it had something to do with the 8 minute underpass.
Yeah. It was the Urchin. We were doing Urchin Clam Blitz, and the whole game was neutral in mid, like the entire game. And as we were getting closer, I was watching, like, oh, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? And we get up, and like they're still battling in mid at the 4 minute mark with no scores, and I'm like, okay, all right, it's time. And as soon as overtime hits, 9 whips at his phone and starts like frantically googling, and I just put my hand out, like, I got this. I know the rules. I got you.
The thing is, there's a difference between the actual like results in game and what Nintendo could say the rules are for the tournament. Because I could very easily see them saying like, hey, if it goes the entire 8 minutes, there's actually no winner. We're going to replay a different game.
It's possible,
But I didn't do a thorough check at the rules. I don't think
they don't have anything related to that. No,
they don't. Okay,
no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's possible they would have made that call if we got there, and we were pretty close to getting there.
11
We're
seconds
under a
off
minute.
or
Yeah,
something, right?
Yeah.
It was under a minute left in overtime.
Yeah, even my dad was watching that day, because my dad doesn't understand what I do, but he's very excited for me. And he thought it was really funny that they called me Lilypedia, and so he's like, "You're never gonna live that down." That's hilarious. But yeah, just obscure clam rules nowhere. That's me. I got you.
Falco, this is the closest we're gonna have to explain that you can have ties in the NFL at the rate we're going.
You can.
Oh man, okay. I'm glad I got context. But no, I'm not gonna lie here.
No.
I did the 4 teams I wanted to call here. So one being Moonlight. I mean, they finished second in the in that league, which was
So
amazing
proud of
to say the
them.
least. Which is
Yeah.
amazing for anybody who has followed Moonlight.
Yeah.
Probably, I think. You guys are gonna need to fact check me in this. Outside of Momocon and Gamo, probably one of their best results today.
I think so. Period. Like, I mean, I've been
Yeah.
following and friends with Moonlight and the members of Moonlight since like early Splatoon 2, and just I like can't begin to tell you how proud of them I am. Like, overwhelming.
Well, and then you go ahead, Keon.
No, I was gonna say the other addition I had, because this is a throwback to last week's episode with Beep. The panel, myself, Nine, Oma, and Pika Dave, had to figure out who was going to advance onto the Moonlight and Bet set. All 4 of us universally agreed it would go to 5, and all of us believed that Moonlight would be the one to win that game 5. Surely enough, that's what they did. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's where the run ends, because now Moonlight's probably going to find some crazy way, some anime plot line was going to stop them at the finish line. That did not happen. In fact, they were nearly carrying that underdog story there. But yeah, no, sorry to interrupt you there, Falco. I just want to point that out. But yeah, Moonlight played phenomenal throughout that NA League playoff run.
They certainly have. And I was actually going to mention. Well, you mentioned that they won Gommel. They won
Momocon.
Momocon. I can guarantee you though that this result was way more important to them than winning
Easily.
those lands because those lanes they swept the floor. There was no competition for Moonlight at Momocon or Gommel, and they knew that for this tournament they were facing teams much more level with their caliber. So I believe they're definitely more proud of how they performed getting a second place finish here in this event than a
Yeah.
first place at those lands. That's
And
just
I
what I
mean,
want to say.
beyond that, like Moonlight has spoken about how one of their main goals, forming as a team, was to go to a Nintendo event and get a high placement. That was one of the goals of the team, period. So to be able to do that, like, I mean, they're not going to retire now, but if they did, that would be a good note to go out on.
Well, and Moonlight did not really have any success against FT Win in the whole league leading up to
Yeah.
this point. They were 0-2 against them in top eights. They were 0-4 against them if you include ladder. And they didn't really have a poor record against any other team, save for Duck Motif, oddly enough. They were 1-2 and then 2-4 in ladder. But they were like 3-3 against Milky Way. So they had a reasonable shot there. They had a winning record if you include ladder against Fofofo. So FT Win was kind of that major hump that they needed to get over, and they really did it, especially with that humpback clams game in dramatic fashion.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. And just want to point that I was like exactly to your point, Falco. There was virtually no strong competition. Probably the closest thing Momocon had was basically the pickup team for Free Flow, which the league's difference there basically at Momocon, for example. So that's an awesome result for Moonlight. And I'll second that notion, Lily. They should very much be proud of that result, even if they didn't take home the dub there. I know I went out of order because Moonlight was the big story, but the other story was, to no surprise from our panel, we did predict that Milky Way was gonna win the entire thing, and surely enough, they did. If you were there for Super Jump, oh god, it feels like eons ago at this point. It's only been a couple weeks ago. So they ran the table they ran the table, I believe, in Super Jump. Unless I'm getting one of my actually I might be getting my tournaments mixed up. But either way, Milky Way was on a generation. No, I did get it mixed up. Milky Way finished second in Super Jump, and it all because of one frame, one move that ended that run. I'm glad Zach, you're about to probably fact check me there on that. But more importantly though, everybody looked at that Milky Way team and realized, they are in really good form coming into the to NA League. Will there be a team to stop them, man?
I mean,
you already knew our
throughout
answer.
the NA
They didn't do
League,
it.
they pretty much beat up FT Win every time. That wasn't, it wasn't really any doubt. Like every time they got knocked down to losers bracket, and then FT Win would get cold and tired, and then they would just steamroll FT Win. So it wasn't a huge surprise that they would take first, especially once FT Win was already out. I feel like Moonlight might have stood a chance, and we saw some decent games in there, but I feel like their real competition really was Fofofo or FT Win. So
we got told by our yep. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead,
sorry,
Zach,
going
first.
into that, like the final week, they had barely, to my knowledge, done any scrimmaging or playing together as a team. They were really like, it took 2 or 3 weeks off almost, and then they won that final appearance of theirs in the regular season. So they were coming in hot with not very much practice, and knowing the competition that they were going up against. They really proved a team. And there's even after, they're like, I'm not sure. It's almost based on FT Win's decision of if they want to continue, which I don't believe they are, to whether they want to try again. If we see the next iteration for Milky Way, like it's so exciting to see them perform this well, and then you have this Moonlight as maybe now this perennial second place team that is looming to try and challenge the throne.
I did want to bring up the factoid here, courtesy of our Beep crew, as well as specifically Neptune. They only dropped 3 games all of bracket, especially Milky Way. That is, so Milky Way was just on a roll for most of that tournament, as well. I think we did cover this team briefly, but I did want to bring it up. FT Win, of course, that was my pick to win the entire tournament. Did not actually happen. In fact, they got sold out really early for the group. All 4 of us last week thought, well, FT Win's just gonna follow the same plot of making the run through winners bracket, then only to lose in grand finals. But they didn't even get to that point.
Yeah, Moonlight knocked them out of podium. I mean, they finished 4th. And if you would have said FT Win isn't going to make podium in this tournament, I think you'd be like, you're crazy. So But they were also pretty hard on themselves too. I know that they were disappointed with how they performed, and like we mentioned, a lot of the players said like, "Yep, this is probably it for us." So, you always hate to have, no matter the team is play or team or players who are playing, you hate to have like leave a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah, there's a tweet
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Kia posted
Yep.
too, and as we mentioned, Shaq
Sam also.
before, and he
Yeah.
was
Shaq
kind of a sub
retired.
too.
Shaq's off retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's been soft retired for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But there's still teams on the legacy, and like Hexen is an older person in the community as well who's been around. But you look at a player like Sam who definitely still has a lot of potential, a very young player too, and
And
could
Sam said he's stepping down too, which I thought was wild. I was sure Sam wouldn't,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
and I mean, again, I feel like we could still see them around eventually. It's always hard to see how long when people are going to be taking
Yeah.
breaks too. Because I know people post their retirements pretty often and then come back. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
obviously that's what FT1's going to do, but it happens pretty often, and especially for some of the younger players, they still have a lot left in the tank.
Yeah, I feel like the true retirements usually come with big life changes. So, like when someone not retires from college, that's not what you do from
Graduation.
graduates from college, because then you have the big life shift of moving from school into a workforce, which is usually a big change for people. Or like things like that are usually when people really hit the retirement. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Kyo fully stepped down, pending having graduated, moving into the workforce and things like that. Like if Sam is moving into a college setting or into a more intense college setting than previously, like moving into a master's degree or something that typically takes a lot more work, So
I second that notion, especially with all of us who's probably graduated college once upon a time. It eats up a lot of your time. You just
yeah, I retired college a long time ago. So.
exactly.
I didn't even
You just
try
don't
to
have time to
play
play.
any competitive game when I was in college. Actually, well, Splatoon 2 wasn't even out when I was in college, so it was like I had nothing.
Old.
Hey, we all
are.
Yeah.
here, so it's fine.
I'm like 23. Don't worry about it.
Okay, Lily.
Bro.
The important question, because I know all the retirement posts, but maybe we'll take it at face value. FT Win pretty much left a strong legacy, though,
Yeah.
with especially the multiple tournament wins going back to the Splatoon 2 eras, especially. I think we cannot forget about that, as then pretty much how strong the players were, especially. I know people will probably end up remembering the more recent results, but they were a dominant team for years until newer competition came in.
Yeah, and
I'm
I mean,
wondering if Moonlight will leave a similar legacy. They've already been around for quite a while, and in between tournaments like this one that are more NA focused, and tournaments too that are more either Europe versus NA or that are more global, I'm excited to see sort of how these stick together. I think I mentioned it on the broadcast too, but they and FT Win have some of the strongest branding of any team.
Mhm.
Like they've been together for so long, and they actively encourage interaction with their content. I know Chara and there's that new collaboration feature on YouTube. So all the players and their YouTube channels joined in, but they uploaded sort of their recap of the Splatoon 3 North American League. And so
it was a good video.
yeah,
Oh
it's
my
a great
gosh, it was
video. So it's
amazing.
got
Yeah.
clips, and before that, Chara kind of had I think it was like a 10-minute video of thoughts going over like what he thought of the
Mhm.
NA League in general and potential improvements and what they did well. So see that and sort of migrate this like interaction with the team and having that fan base built up and having a brand and logo and everything. I wish more teams would do that, because it actively encourages to follow a team rather than having to try and track a player. Up.
Glad to see the video on screen there, especially highlighting all the players there, as well. But yeah, those were the three big teams there. Obviously, third place team that finished was Fo, which fell to Milky Way, dropped to the lower brackets actually by FT Win in round 2, but then pretty much ran the table as much as they could, and then as mentioned before, a lot of things kind of just got in the way. Actually, I may have read the wrong bracket, but the other way, Fo pretty much got FT Win. They got stalled out by Milky Way in winners finals, and Moonlight had other ideas for their side, but Fo finishing third though was again a strong achievement for the players there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely. I think Bet getting going to game 5 against Moonlight and then going down, that was or no, they Yeah, no, that round one though, a lot of us were talking about that Moonlight versus Bet match kind of being the one that we wanted to watch out for, and of course that's the one that went to game 5. And again, I don't remember the exact map stages and mode combinations that were chosen for this one, but with the other 3 seemingly be, I don't want to say cakewalks, but all really decisive 3-0s. This is one that we were definitely like, oh yeah, that we're going to watch for this one, the 4 versus 5 seed, and didn't even have to do anything with like the seeding because the seeding really didn't matter at that point. But yeah, that one I just enjoyed watching a lot.
Oh,
It was a
definitely.
battle of kind of interesting teams too. Like Bet, Dante, one of 2 players that stayed on the same weapon the entire time with Slosher. Mecha, we were talking about how Mecha's play is kind of counterintuitive to what the rest of the team is doing. Like they're very active. Zero is like one of the better aggressive players that the Western scene has to offer, and they've been around for quite a while. And then Simo, with them being a perennial Brella player, but they were on other weapons. They were on like
Mhm.
Blaster, the Splash-O-Matic. We didn't really know how much we would see the Brella, and they came out pretty strong with both the Sorella and then the regular Tentabrella, and they did very, very well with that weapon. And it was kind of integral to a lot of their strategies that I think helped them to make it so close.
Oh yeah, definitely there. So I do want to bring up. We only have so much time, by the way, before we can before things about to wrap up here. I do want to bring up one last team because we had Dave on the episode a week ago. I feel like I need to call a gourmet race, though only because for context, Lily. We were trying to give Dave all the energy, the underdog energy, as much as possible, and
Yeah,
have them
I
advance the
watched.
next
I actually
round.
watched the whole thing last week in
Yeah,
prep. So, yeah, poor
we
Pika
wanted
though.
We wanted to give Dave so much props, especially to give Gourmet Race a chance to make the run in lower brackets, and the results said otherwise because they ran to the ball, saw Doug Motif in the first round in the losers side there. But I just wanted to shout out Gourmet Race because we just
Yeah,
had Dave on the episode last week.
yeah. And I mean, they did their best, and I feel like Duck Motif had been a wall for them throughout most of the league. So, seeing them run into some harder matches there wasn't surprising. I guess it was disappointing, but unfortunately not surprising. So I was in Pika's DMs after that, like, "Hey, how dare you? How could you do this to me?" But that's not, you know, that's okay.
Also, Pika's documented a lot of their
Yes.
team
Mhm.
stats for
Yeah.
this
Yup.
entire tournament. So if you're a stats nerd, you should definitely check out their posts on Blue Sky because they documented literally every single thing that Gourmet Race did
Mhm.
as a team in a spreadsheet. So you can dive into that and get messy in the numbers, if you will.
Yeah, and their YouTube videos were also
Yeah, not
pretty
just
rad.
that too.
So,
Like kind
yeah.
of like Tara, they had their own. They were tracking week by
Right.
week. Like okay, they were breaking down their matches, their sets, and how they performed, and what they wish they would have done better. And
Yeah.
Miner too. Like Miner was the other player besides Dante who
Yeah.
only won one weapon, the Slosher, and I've been following them since their time on Nightmare. So it was really cool to see them come together with like Shiny. Really, you could see the progress week by week by week. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
even though they were in maybe one of those lower tiers that made top 8, they still like made it pretty emphatically compared to some of the other teams.
Yeah, consistently too, like,
Mhm.
yeah.
But by the way, special shouts to all the players that participate in the league and actually was also producing content related to the NA League because I
Mhm.
feel like that's been a blind spot, if you will, of content that's been sorely missing for
Yeah.
weeks and months especially. So huge shouts to I think it was Chara and Dave especially, and any others I may have missed on top of it. There you go. A few other tweets there as well, especially with the NA League stats. Also, one last thing. I'm gonna make this really brief. Doug T. by the way, shouts for the mat for having crazy stamina throughout whatever their NA League run and their Super Jump runs. Both of them combined on that one. You're not gonna get an award from me personally, Doug Motif, but we'll note you as well. By the way, any last thoughts with the NA League, especially with this first season? I know they teased a potential second season, at least that's what I saw on Blue Sky as well. Anything to
Mhm.
take away from this first season overall, especially for all 3 of you?
I want more.
Yeah. It was
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun to see which teams would turn out, and obviously all the teams put in so much time and
Mhm.
effort, spending a lot of their Saturdays, some teams spending all of their Saturdays over the course of these few weeks to get where they were. And yes, on the It was a Nintendo versus Twitter. They actually said like "see you for season 2," so that is confirmed. They posted that on their Twitter. So yeah, we're excited for it, especially if there's a change. If anybody who played on FT Win is still going to continue just as a light pickup and they happen to qualify. I don't know. I'm really curious to see which teams will
Yeah.
qualify if they keep the same format. Obviously, I think Moonlight is still hungry. I think they've kind of posted a lot of the players individually, especially, were like, yeah, like we want to run this back. And I can only imagine there's teams like Duck Motif and a few others who are really wanting another opportunity. So it'll be great to see who turns up.
I think Gourmet Race has posted on Blue Sky too about that. I think they were like, "Oh, we're running it back." Like, yeah, let's take it back.
Yeah.
And, I also hope that people enjoyed the other aspects of the North American League, like the show that would come out on Fridays, the people who participated in the Sunday Scrim for Salmon Run. It's kind of that open, more casual side that lets people play Salmon Run and have like a built-in amount of people to play with, and it's solo and group friendly. So it's something where people who either don't have a team or like they just are more into Salmon Run, they can do that. And yeah, recording the segments was a lot of fun. We all got to fade. I know Falco and Lily had differing experiences on the trivia side of things, which was fun to watch. But
I didn't know that actually aired before the broadcast on Sunday. I thought they were just like running through it, just like testing stuff. I didn't realize it was live when we were sitting at the desk. At least Zach and I. So I didn't realize it aired. I just had no idea.
Listen, I was just happy that people got to see how cool I was for once.
Your book
You're always cool in my
is
book.
insane.
Yeah.
You're always cool in my book, Lily. Don't be worried.
I read a lot. It's a vice.
One thing I think we do well. Thank you guys for that. Well, before I jump ahead, because I was also my brain was about to think faster than my speaking there. Glad to hear your guys' experience there. Obviously, stay tuned for whenever the second season arrives. But Milky Way finishing first winners of the league, and then Moonlight finishing second. Which, by the way, we're still proud of that group as a whole. I know Falco. I do want to Falco. You and I and probably CK will probably want to bring this up briefly. There was a tournament that happened yesterday because this was brought up earlier, and I'm like, wait a minute, what was the important news with this one? So Blue Sky has had a promotion of a tournament called Break Zach's Bank. For those wondering, there were some notable.
Not my bank. Yeah,
not our shiny hunter Zach.
Keeping it protected.
Zach did not have an actual bank to break here. Not the shiny hunter Zach in this regard. There was a person. I think they go by Starman Zach, if I'm not mistaken. On Blue Sky, they hosted a tournament called Break Zach's Bank, the 11th edition. The reason why this is being notable here as well is they had a tournament that featured Gray, Kyo and Souljo, especially. Noah and Gray also on the same team as well. Yoshell was there. They were there as well. Gray finishing third, by the way, in that Gray's team, rather Gugu finishing third on that tournament side. Soulja's team, Guab Squad, I hope I pronounced that right, was the team that finished first. Falco, this was kind of surprising because Kyo, I believe, says, all right, they're gonna go retirement, then just goes ahead and plays with a pickup real quickly, named Flip a Floppa, by the way, which by the way also participated as well. They finished third. I also read the seeding wrong. Gugu finished second. That'd be Gray's team.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I wanted to bring this up, number one, Zach is Starman Zach runs this tournament. It's a great tournament, and Break Zach's Bank. Yes, there is money involved for the winners, in case that wasn't obvious. But the first place team gets over $100. You don't see that very often for a lot of high level tournaments, so that really gets these players invested. And there were players represented from all regions. We mentioned Gray and Noah from France, but we have players from Japan. I mean, Flippa Floppa, that's Kyo playing with players from Japan, but even the team Guap Squad, who Soulja played with too. Like, you have players from Japan and a lot of different countries represented here too. So, Chocopair. Okay. So you have a lot of different regions. I know we talked about the NA leagues, strictly North American players too, but branching over to a more worldwide tournament where you have all of this competition. is really cool. So if anybody's looking to play some high level content here and want to win some cash prizes, this is definitely a tournament to look out for. Especially with how many strong teams there are. Like it's crazy. You look at these standings, you're like, oh my goodness, like Gray got second. Gray didn't win. What happened? So yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to that. And happens every so often. I don't think it's a monthly nor bi-monthly. So just be on
Yeah.
the lookout for Zach's posts about that, and pay attention to Sendo as well.
Just to once again clarify, it's Starman Zach, not the Shiny Hunter Zach that we have here, unless Shiny Hunter Zach was slightly impersonate.
Hey, maybe I'll contribute to the bank one day just because I'm a fellow Zach. You never know.
Yeah, we never know on that one, but yeah, I think that's a huge shout out there too, because it was a tournament that had a lot of that had money involved, especially some decent cash prizes there as well. Also, Kills appearing there as well, which glad to see Kills still participating as well with that pickup. Anything else you guys want to bring up? Because we're getting close to 5 minutes before I want to wrap this up, or otherwise we can get the heck out of here.
Just I don't know. It was a wild experience across the board. I'm glad we had something like this. The participation from the community was incredible across the content and across the league. And I don't know. I'm excited for next season. I'm excited for more charity events, raising more money. This community has always been super generous, so it's always rad to see everyone come out and donate stuff. And can't wait for LCS. It's gonna be exciting. And Zach's pretty cool too.
Me or the other Zach?
You.
No,
I was like, yeah, LCS for Falco, and Zach's cool too.
Yeah, I do stuff occasionally. No, but I mean, like Lily said, thank you to everyone who watched any portion of the Splatoon 3 League. I really hope you enjoyed the content. You know, I've seen some posts and videos about how they enjoyed the increased production value, and we're similarly very happy to be part of such high quality production and all of the work. We didn't even talk about the spec cam operators, but those are also people who came from the community. You have Power, Pico, and Czar all came in and did a wonderful job on the spec cams. Shout out to them as well. And yeah, lots to hopefully look forward to in 2026.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, we're only 3 days till Christmas. Oh my goodness.
No,
What are we doing here?
I'm taking off
You're
my
talking about
headset.
Splatoon during the holidays. Wow.
I have
all right.
crafts to do. You can't say that.
It's fine. I gotta unpack my Costco haul. I gotta leave Costco. Number one, they're kicking me out. They're giving me the nudge to get out of here. But no,
closing time is playing on the speakers.
I know, flashing the lights. Last call. Get out of here. No, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, a lot of hard work for a lot of players, a lot of members involved in the scene too, and it's always a lot of fun. It's a really good way to get storylines for teams as well, and makes for easy discussion. And it's again really great to see a lot of the content that people make. I know we talked about the video that Prachara put out about Moonlight. Again, like really fantastic editing too, and even just watching that video, seeing people do watch parties of the tournament. Like we saw Dude's perspective, we could see people watching Kyo stream, we could see like PXG members, a lot of the members who are in Europe watching, doing their own watch parties, giving commentary. So that's always fun to see them give us support, because we know we're spoiled here in North America with the content that we have. So yeah, looking forward to the next season as well.
I hope 2026 brings good news. But let's get the heck out of here so Lily can resume arts and crafts, and Falco can quickly dash out of the Costco store. Yeah, more important news. I'm gonna go right to left this time for our shout outs. Or whatever you want to shout out rather. Falco, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me Falco Flyer on Blue Sky. If my mic, okay, there we go. My webcam's working again. Falco Flyer on Blue Sky. I don't really stream anymore. If you want to pay attention to more of the content side of things, I like shit posting on Splatoon tourneys, so you guys can go follow that if you'd like, and watch a lot of the locals that will be on that channel in early 2026.
Lily, where can the people find you?
SplatoonLily, pretty much everywhere. So if you need to find me there. But if you're gonna watch content, go to Peekaday 465. So
Gotta say, Zach, where can the people find you?
I'm shinyhunterzach on Blue Sky. I do have a Twitter. I mainly use it to retweet stuff about the VTuber I mod for. So if that's not your vibe, I wouldn't advise following me. But the Blue Sky is more for Twitter stuff, for Splatoon stuff. So go over there at shinyhunterzach, and I can't promise I post a whole bunch, but come around. You'll see me if you watch tournaments, maybe.
You can find me Kion2570, by the way, Blue Sky, and on Twitter. Twitter's just pretty much dormant at this point, and then Blue Sky is just whatever I feel like streaming that time, or whatever sports nonsense I want to post on every other day, or whatever community I talk about. You can just find me everywhere at this point. I'm gonna see if I can get CK off the mic here because I need to ask him an important question. By the way, is this the last episode of the year, or is Splat Chat on a Christmas holiday vacation? I need to know if I can hear that answer if he's here. By the way, are we on vacation?
I'm using all my PTO for the rest of the year.
Is this our last episode? Is this our last episode for the year?
We'll see you all in 2026.
There we go. We got the confirmation.
next year.
Next year, that is the last episode of 2025. It was a great one to end off on. But let's get that out of here because I'm sure people want to celebrate or get ready for Christmas packing for better or for worse. Yes, with Zach, Lily, Falco, the producer CK, I'm Kion saying thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in 2026. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of Christmas and New Year's. We'll see you guys next time.